Hello and welcome to the season finale of Critical Damage, Emerson Channel's premier esports talk show. I'm Will Snyder and I'm joined here as always with Leo DePaulis and Ian Copeland. We've got a great show lined up for you today, so let's dive right in. On Monday night, Emerson's Esports League of Legends team faced off against Bunker Hill Community College. We're going to take a closer look at the scrimmage and highlight some of our stars and favorite plays of the game.
Literally right off in the beginning of the game, we have first blood, and this comes in a very strange way. The Bunker Hill's team comes in from the side, and we've got Darius, who messes up the entire thing. The whole thing is, honestly, like if we're being 100%, it's Darius's fault. Like Darius turns the entire thing into a 4v5. We've got Darius at the very bottom. He comes in, he goes to the right, and he's chasing this Karma, who's super low, and basically just leaves his team to try and fend off a 5v4. A 4v4 that way they were winning health-wise at least. And then there's two flashes, unnecessary, but they got the first blood. And then Darius, who messed the whole thing up in the first place, goes and dies. He knows he's dead, so he stops here and just like sits there.
So this was the very beginning of the game, and we saw it was Emerson was coming down. They were trying to get behind and try to steal the jungle before, invade? They were trying to invade early on. And Bunker Hill did see it coming. However, Emerson was still able to win the fight just based off of better communication, better team play. Ian, you got any thoughts on this one?
What I don't understand is why Darius pathed back to mid. Why didn't he cut his losses and go back through his own jungle? That seems absurd to me. That is such a simple and obvious mistake.
Yeah, and we did see the end of the clip, but he does come back and just realizes he's made too many mistakes and just starts emoting and accepts his death on that one.
Amateur hour. It's apparently amateur hour.
But not all was lost for Bunker Hill, as they were able to counter back getting 2 kills of their own pretty quickly, as we see coming up. And just, it was a very important moment, because if they had lost that fight, they pretty much evened up the gold count, and now they're in a much better position to keep this game going in their favor and hopefully claw their way back after that first team fight. As we see here, one's getting chased and they're able to turn it around and just get both kills.
Well, because they overcommit way too heavily, and then
you're talking about Emerson.
In this clip, Emerson overcommit heavy, because they think they can just go for the kill and get it easily, and then they just get punished because
Bunker Hill overcommitted.
I feel like that was also the case in the last clip where one team was in command, but then they overcommit, they get a little greedy, and I feel like that can happen it's hard to stay patient. It is very hard to stay patient, and when you have the free kill right in front of you. And you got something to say?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say this was necessarily similar to the first clip, in that Emerson was already in a 2v1. Sion was already in a 2v1. He was already looking bad. And then when the second Emerson player came in, Sion was already down, he was already going to go down, and then they started focusing on the squishier one, and it was over. Yeah. I don't necessarily agree with that engage. I would say cut your losses, let Sion go down, get the heck out. Yeah. But, that's League.
And like I said before, it's a lot of teams just overcommitting, getting greedy, and that's why they end up losing these fights. But we're going to throw it back to you.
The next clip's probably my favorite one from the whole game, because there was a period of time where I played top lane for a while, so I appreciate a good TP down bot lane. It's honestly it's a beautiful play. So the Bunker Hill is pushed way too far up, and they 3 of them. They think it's a 3v2, and then we've got Nar TP right in the back like this, and look at their health bars. Boom, dead, and then he just shreds the last 2. Nar messes up a little bit here. You can see he jumps off her head right there, and then he's just taking tower aggro this entire time. The entire time. So he dies. It's still worth. I just don't think that he needed to die, because he also could have TP'd way earlier. If he TP's earlier, the fight doesn't even reach tower. The fight ends before they get under the range of tower.
And
go ahead, Ian.
And I don't understand why Bunker Hill went this far in, because their wave was at tower. Emerson's wave was at their tower.
This is exactly what I was going to say. You see the over-aggression here on both ends. It is Emerson who ends up getting the kills because of the TP, because Bunker Hill was playing so far past their wave.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing that I don't understand. I don't know why Bunker Hill were fighting that far up. I understand it's the 3v2, you're more likely to win the fight, but they're under their tower, and you're just going to get poked out.
We did not see the clip before that. I can only assume that based on what we've seen so far, is that one of Emerson's members was low, and they chased them all the the way up there, and they thought they could get a free kill, and then they ended
Well,
up in
I
a
think-
fight that was ill-advised.
Yeah, you're right.
Still. For our next clip, now what I really like about Sion is that no matter when he goes down, there's always a chance that he can bring it back. And that's what we see in this clip. We have a team fight heating up, starting to think about things going down. And then we see a really nice engage from Darius. He pulls him in, but then they don't focus the Sion. That's when they lose their opportunity. And soon enough, their tank goes down, Darius goes down, and this team fight completely breaks out. There's so much going on here. Could analyze it for hours. But when Sion goes down, you can see gets yoinked by Vigo, but he still gets kills. Sion still puts in work in that team fight, even when he's down. And I think every time Sion went down this game, he either took somebody with him or cleared a wave. He never let Sion's passive go to waste.
Well, the mistake there is engaging on a character whose ult makes him unstoppable.
Yeah.
And a character who, after he dies, can still fight. Like it's I don't know. I feel like that wasn't like it was a good engage. Like Darius got the pull, so like normally, okay, let's engage, let's start a fight here because we can get the pick. But it's Sion, so don't engage there at all. It's not a fight you want to take unless like hey, they had pulled like Ash or something, because then that's a pick you get, and then you will most likely win the fight.
And also, the team wasn't ready for that pull. Darius just went in and pulled him, and then Vigo was trying to head in through the other jungle entrance. It was just a mess. They weren't prepared for that, and it just ended up going poorly for them.
Facts.
And this next clip is my favorite because we just get to see some lovely Ash play, and in the base nonetheless. So here we see Ash super low, but still.
Oh my. It's so gorgeous.
She indeed, Leo. Because
oh my God.
Just the double kill in the base, kiting them out, even when Ash is low. Now, man, just everything about that clip is just outstanding play. It actually took a third player coming in to finish off Ash. And it's funny, at the end of the clip, you can see Darius question mark pinging his own team. Man, you hate to see it.
That Darius, well, they made mistakes throughout the game. They did have a sense of humor, you could tell, like with the emoting and then the question mark in their own team. You could tell he was having a good time, even though his team was getting rolled. So Ian, who is your player of the game?
And it's got to be that Ash mixture, that ADC plays. Every single time we see them up, like, absolutely destroys what's going on. Bot lane, he played super well. We saw in both the Gnar TP and the in-base double kill.
This man's crazy.
Yeah.
He's literally the second highest rank you can be in the game. He's
Grandmaster?
Yeah, he's nuts.
Absurd. Still.
Doesn't say we've now hit like the echelon of League where my comprehension gets lost. But any other thoughts you have on this, on the clips we saw and just the match in general?
Just entertaining. An entertaining game.
It was a fun game to watch. My comprehension aside, I could tell that it was definitely a good game that was going on. What was you guys? I know you guys gave a little bit. Why the clips you said they were your favorites? What made them stand out to you?
Well, the Gnar TP one, it's just because I like a good TP behind people. I always love it because I just imagine their reaction. They just see the TP coming. They know what's gonna happen. They're running back. They're running like straight towards it because that's the only way they can go. They know it's gonna happen. It's
And
just fun.
as a casual player, I could understand that was definitely a really good play. We're gonna take a commercial break, but when we come back, game developers, do they have too much control over competitive tournaments? We'll talk about that one when we get back.
When I arrive at my destination, I am gonna kill Bill.
What? Oh! Okay, cutting. Sorry, can we get some of this light?
Where in God's name is the gaffer's tape?
Hi, I'm Nate.
And I'm Casey, and we're the National Broadcasting Society.
Come out to some of our weekly workshops, or work on some of our sets.
Explore the bigger picture with NBS.
We'll see you there.
All right, let's get another take. Camera, sound.
Hi, I'm Mary Malloy, the host of Speechless, and you're watching the Emerson Channel.
Welcome back to Critical Damage. Remember to follow us on Instagram at Critical Damage EC. Boys, let's talk about game developers. In the esports realm, developers and publishers have full control over the development of their titles, as well as some of the competitive scenes surrounding their games. The developers control the esports title, how many teams are created, game modes, and how tournaments are played. They hold much of the power in the esports world, especially in tournament play. So guys, is it all right for game developers to hold this much control over the esports titles, or do they have too much power over competitive play and tournaments?
Leave your games alone. It's not that difficult. Like, finding people for coaches getting mad, like, again, as I say, I think every episode, fighting game world, like, it seems so absurd to me that a developer would step in and, like, say, oh, this is allowed, this isn't. It's like, it's a tournament. You want to see the highest level of skill within, of course, like, the standard rules of the game that you developed. But changing tournaments outside of the tournament itself, outside of the game itself, that seems absurd to me.
All right, Leo, I'm going to throw it to you before I tear this man to shreds.
I disagree. It's their game at the end of the day. Like, it's like whoever's like it's such a smart move on like companies like Riot to just have full control of their game. Like from their point of view, from their like it's 100% fine. It's smart. It's how they make their money, and it's like if one person owned basketball, they own basketball. That's theirs. That's what Riot can do with like League of Legends. It's
That's,
you know?
You're describing the NBA.
Yeah.
And honestly,
well, no, but the NBA don't own basketball.
Yeah, of course, but
Riot own League of Legends.
I know, but like I couldn't. There's something so absurd to me. There's something so absurd about just stepping in and outright saying, oh, certain things aren't allowed, or we're gonna fine you for this, or I feel like the games industry isn't developed enough to be able to hand out fines to individual organizations for an upset coach or an upset player.
Well, what blows my mind right now is that you're saying that developers should not be a level of authority within like the esports that they create, when they are the utmost authority. They are the creators. I'm talking Bible-style creators of the world that these guys play their games in. How in the world could you say that they don't deserve to make the decisions?
But see, here's where we fundamentally disagree, and this was the case last time too, in that you think the games are the developers' games. I think the games belong to the people.
But they don't. They just don't.
Yeah,
they
you're just wrong.
They absolutely
It is
do.
the developer's game.
No, because
the reason that people flock to these games is because the developers made them good.
Yes,
so
but
why don't you trust the developers to make the right decisions for the game?
Because the people know what they want. The people will do what they want.
Okay, people know they want, but what they want doesn't mean that's what's best.
The developers also know what they want, and they're the ones who created the game.
No, but the people are responsible
do you think the
for your
developers
game
want to
being
sabotage? Okay, hold on.
Successful.
Let's
the
get
people are
comfortable here. This is
responsible
going
for
to
the
take a while.
success of your game.
Ian, the
What?
developers want their game to flourish.
Yes.
They want the game to do
So
well.
do the players.
So why
So
do you
do
think
the
they're trying to
players.
sabotage the game? They know it's best. They know the game better than anyone. They made it.
I
So
don't
why?
think
Hold on. Yeah, well, I'm gonna disagree with you on that. I think sometimes 100% the players know the game better than the devs. 100% some of the time. Like,
They might know
sure.
certain aspects of the game, like what's it like to play at the pro level, but it's not just, they know what it's like to play at their level better than anyone. That's what I'll say. But that's not but you know who also knows what it is to play at the level that they play at? The devs. Believe it or not, they play the game as well. They know what it's like. Yes, they do.
Will, do you think that the devs could go pro?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
So
basketball, the guy who created basketball was definitely not the best basketball player. It's not like that. I'm not saying they can go pro, but they still do play the game, and that gives them another understanding of it.
But I also play the game.
But their job.
I have an understanding, but that doesn't mean that I'm like gonna go and like dictate what's gonna happen.
But here's the thing: their job is to make the game better for all levels of the game. The pros are just focusing on what's best for the pros in that level, whereas the devs have so much more to think about. You might say, oh, filthy casuals. The casual scene is where they get most of their money, and the bottom line is they make these games to make money.
So here's the question then: wait, you're saying that the devs want to make the best game that they can, but also they, want to make money. Understandable.
Believe it or not, it correlates. The better game they make, the more money they make.
I wouldn't say that. How do you explain microtransactions? How do you explain?
You still need a good game to make people want to get. You still need a
Because-
good game to
but
make people to
adding
want to get those
microtransactions-
items.
Adding microtransactions to your game is just, I feel like that does, I don't know. I feel like that doesn't correlate.
Oh my
Adding
God.
microtransactions
Oh
is
my
just.
God.
That's
I
a
think
whole
it-
separate
Locking
topic.
content behind real money, I think makes your game worse. I'm not gonna lie.
How? No,
Wait,
okay. Are you
what?
talking about?
Explain every
Okay.
free game that's been popping off
Are
recently.
you talking about like
because they
Fortnite
have
Warzone
microtransactions.
cosmetics? Or are you talking like Star Wars Battlefront 2 launch literally pay to win? Because that's an issue, and that's what killed the game. But when you're talking about like just cosmetics, all that does is add. It's optional content.
I
There's no.
disagree.
There's literally. I believe me. I played enough Fortnite to know at the bottom of the item shot it says these items are purely cosmetic and offer no competitive advantage.
Let's talk about Fortnite. We
Okay,
can talk about Fortnite.
great.
God.
Because let's
Been
talk
waiting for
about,
this.
Let's talk about the cultural significance. Let's talk about let's say the Marshmallow concert. Because
Genius.
if you recall, during that Marshmallow concert, one of the things that he shouted out repeatedly was, "Hey, everybody, do your dances, do your emotes." It's pathetic. It creates a social environment where you're clearly incentivized and pressured to participate in these cosmetic items and these microtransactions.
All right, I think the bottom line is that the devs, it's their game. They should do what they want with it, and the community is just their loyal subjects. All right, we're gonna take one more commercial break, but when we come back, we'll wrap up the show with a very serious talk about mental health and esports. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Alright, coming back in 10 seconds. Ready, camera one. Camera one, you wide shot of the entire thing, and in 3, 2, 1, take talent cue.
Welcome back to Emerson College. Emerson
Camera
trails
4, get a shot of the players coming across the court.
10 seconds left. Emerson trails by 1 point. As
Camera
the
2
team
close on the person
finishes their
shooting.
timeout. Thanks, Joe. With 10 seconds left, Emerson is hoping to pull away and score this big
Camera 1, gonna close the follow them over.
Emerson trails WPI by 10 points. 10 seconds left. Emerson trails by 1 point as the team finishes their timeout.
Camera 1, close up on number 33.
Thanks, Joe. With 10 seconds left, Emerson is hoping to pull away.
Follow the ball, follow the ball.
Hey, we're your roomies, your homies, your new living best.
We live here too.
Thanks. Liz! Do you have any idea what time it is?
It's time.
7. Oh, 7? It would mean a lot to me if you guys watch.
Welcome back to Critical Damage. As we close out the show and the season with a discussion on mental health, I'd like to start with Ian. Let's just bury the hatchet. Had a lot of fun last segment, but I forgive you for being wrong.
All right.
In esports, players shoulder the burden of high stakes and high pressure competition day in and day out. The grind to constantly practice, play, and find a balance of life outside of gaming, the will to win, and the burnout are just some of the struggles players combat every day. But these factors are neglected and stigmatized in the community far too often. In the esports community, it is critical for us to have conversations about mental health to reduce the stigma surrounding it and to facilitate positive dialogue to lend support to those who are looking for it. Ian and Leo, what are your opinions on this subject?
When we first brought this up in the research and discussion phase of planning for this episode, the first thing that came to my mind was Super Smash Bros. Melee. This is a grassroots movement, never had any support from developers, and very much it's a personal thing. Because again, there's no walls between players, there's no walls between audience and players. It is, you hear everything that is said to you, and it is a small community in that everyone knows everyone. It is personal. One particular moment that came to mind was Plup's anxiety attack on stage after losing a set to Armada. In fact, you could see it building out through the entire set, and at the end, he was literally clutching his chest. Let's take a look.
I mean, that was faster than some of the 2 out of 3 sets.
And I want to, I mean, like,
I'm as big of a Plup fan
Yeah,
as you're going to find. I don't like seeing Plup play like that.
Absolutely.
Hear the commentators commenting on, oh, Plup was playing poorly. Like, they hate seeing Plup like that because, you know, they knew, everyone kind of knew, watching it, it was incredibly straining on him, and it's incredibly straining on everyone who plays this game professionally.
And that wasn't any matchup. That was against one of the gods, Armada, and I don't know if you mentioned it. This was EVO, the biggest tournament of the year, in the grand finals. Like this is the highest echelon of Smash that you can play of Melee, and it was clearly in that moment too much for him.
It wasn't grand finals.
It wasn't grand final? Oh, my bad.
I don't believe it was EVO, but you know, it was still a high level tournament. It was a high level regional tournament that, of course, brought Armada over from the other side of the globe to play. So high stakes. Plup is, of course, one of the top players, but it was still extremely challenging and stressful.
Staying with the Smash community is that one of the gods, Hungrybox, was completely, while being an amazing player and won countless events, he just became vilified by the community for just his play style to the point of, I guess, physical assault. Let's take a look on him looking over his career and these experiences.
Every time I wanted to do the esports dream, every time I wanted to do the full-time, be a Smasher and be this icon of gaming and make that the center of your life, I noticed that the stress involved with it, the animosity, the hatred I would receive for playing the way I did or acting the way I did was almost too much to handle.
He's actually talking about an incident where after he won a high-level tournament against another god, Mango, the audience clapped. But it was more of a polite response. Everyone knew Hungrybox was going to win. He was at the top of his game. But people just had a hatred towards him for no particular reason other than he plays safe and he wins a lot. And somebody actually threw a crab at him from the audience. A whole crab.
That is ridiculous.
Which again,
the lengths people will go to like show their disapproval. Like I saw him telling a story once of he was like checking out at Walmart and like the cashier recognized him and he, you know, all his life, all he's wanted to do is recognized for being a pro Smash player. And the guy pretty much told him to go die. And like what a roller coaster emotion that's been for him. And he must realize that like while he's at this top level, he's nowhere near perceived at the person he thought he'd be, just because of his play style. Now these are both players that we talked about in the Smash community. Now Leo, I'm gonna throw it to you to Double Lift, who dealt with something that was completely out of his control.
Yeah. So like shifting away from Smash and then more into League, it's Double Lift, one of the most popular and one of the best NA ADCs out there. His brother actually killed his mom and severely injured his dad with a knife. And this was while he was playing. This is while he was in a tournament that this had happened. But we can run a clip of his reaction to how he coped with it.
I kind of just crutched on my teammates a lot, and whenever I started thinking about it, I would, not in an attempt to run away, but in an attempt to just be constructive with my time, I would not let this thing consume me. I would, I would just channel my focus and energy on being closer to my teammates and practicing as hard as possible and just really min-maxing our time.
And to me, that actually highlighted one of the positive aspects of esports, that community that they have.
To have somebody to fall back on when your mental health might not be in the best state.
And it's not even the team itself. Like this is obviously an extremely tragic event, and no one would have blamed him for taking time off. And there were even talks about canceling the tournament or postponing the tournament entirely. Like not even his team forfeiting. They were talking about every team for him because it was an extremely tragic event. And he said, no, I want to continue. This is I want to put when people deal with tragedy, they often throw themselves into work and stuff like that. And he did that in the most positive way because he had his teammates, he had a whole community of people that were supporting him, and he was able to really show the mental fortitude that some of these players have and just unbelievable resilience.
Still, we can see with houses, we can see with esports houses, we can see it with sponsors, we can see it with just the development of the scene that there are strides being made. This industry is still in its early phases, but if we can set a precedent now, if we can get in at the base level and say, hey, this is stressful, this is destroying people, this can destroy you, we can start a conversation and we can go into this world knowing.
And I brought it up in the intro, but yeah, what's most important is that we have these conversations so that way the stigma can go away, because while these players are, like many say, just are playing games, they're doing it at such a high level and they do it so much, so many hours a day, that it is a truly grueling experience, and we need to make sure that they continue to get the support and help that they need. Well, that's all the time we have for you today and for the season. Before we sign off, I want to give some special thank yous to our amazing crew, from our studio crew to the control room, the writers, our editing team, and the executive producers. Thank you. We've had a great first season on the Emerson Channel, and we wouldn't be here without our incredibly hardworking and talented crew. Thank you to everyone who has made this first season possible, and be sure to follow us on Instagram at CriticalDamageEC and subscribe to our YouTube channel. For Ian Copeland and Leo DePalis, I'm Will Snyder. Boys, it's been an honor. We'll see you next season.